Hey everybody! So today we're going to talk about planets conjunct the MC or the midheaven. I've already done planets conjunct the IC, planets conjunct the descendant, planets conjunct the ascendant. So I figured we'd continue on with planets conjunct the midheaven. What is the midheaven? The midheaven is, okay, when I think of the midheaven, I think of, because it's the top of the chart, it's like the high noon of the chart, essentially. If you think of like, the ascendant is where the chart rises, the descendant is where the chart sets. The MC or the midheaven, it's like the high noon of the chart. It's the highest point in the chart. So when I think of the midheaven, I think of the version of you that you wanted to be when you grew up, or when you grow up. I think of that, the highest and most idealized version of oneself. To me, that is really what the midheaven means. And depending on what house system that you use, right? If you're using Placidus or Porphyry or something like that, the midheaven will be the cusp of the 10th house. We have it on the 10th house card. But if you're using something like whole signs, the midheaven might fall in the 9th house. The midheaven might fall in the 11th house. It could even fall in like the 8th house. It floats. So if I fuck up and say cusp of the 10th house, that is because I tend to, my preference is Placidus, so that's kind of where my mind is. But do know, if I fuck that up, I'm sorry, forgive me. But I'll try not to, though, for ease of understanding what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think of it like that. Now, a lot of times, like career gets lumped in with the midheaven, and that's not inaccurate. It's not at all. But if it does float, if you're using, say, whole signs, career is really like a 10th house thing. So the midheaven, if you're using whole signs and it falls in like the 9th or the 11th house, it may not play out so much in your career. Does that kind of make sense? Just something to keep in mind when you're talking about this, when you're thinking about this. So I might not focus so much when I'm talking about it here. I'm going to think of it more as the highest and most idealized version of yourself, the version of yourself that you want to be when you grow up. That's kind of where I'm going to go with the midheaven for the purpose of this this video. But yeah, it's certainly like, you know, it can certainly be like the public face you show to the world, things like that too. And it can be career, certainly is career based if you're using like Placidus or Porphyry, but it might differ if you're using whole signs, just a little bit. But anyway, I'll be talking about the sun through Mars. Wanted to make sure I had the right cards. And what this might mean if you happen to have one of these planets conjunct the midheaven. Now, this is not universal. Do not take this as, you know, absolute gospel. You have to take the entire chart into consideration. But these are some ideas that you can play with, toy around with, fuck with, whatever, when you're looking at charts that have one of these planets conjunct the midheaven. Okay, so let's start. Let's say you've got the sun conjunct the midheaven. I'm going to leave the signs out of it for right now and just talk about the planets. If you have the sun conjunct the midheaven, what needs to be expressed? A planet is what? So what needs to be expressed? Your ego, your life force, confidence, even identity. Very much ties into the highest and most idealized version of yourself. This is probably very important to you, that you become this version of yourself that you want to be when you grow up, right? It's probably really important. It's probably very, very important to you. Depending on everything else going on in the chart, might give you an idea if this is easy or challenging. I see sometimes I'll see things on like Reddit because I'm always on Reddit in some capacity, or other places that I creep. But we'll be real here, Reddit is the main one. I'll see things talking about like the sun conjunct like the midheaven, and does this mean that I'll be famous? Right? I've seen this. It's not like I see it all the time, but I have seen it before. The sun conjunct the midheaven. I mean, I can certainly see why people would say that, why they throw that out there, why they think it was possible. I might think that it might be important for the person to be known for something. But does that necessarily mean like fame in the way, what kind of fame are we talking about? I mean, there's lots of different types of fame. You know, you can be famous for something good. You can be famous for something bad. I mean, and it also depends on what, you know, fame is. It's not an easy thing to answer things about fame. I think a better way to phrase a question like that would be being known. And yeah, I do think that the sun conjunct the midheaven, oftentimes there is a wanting for that. For what, I couldn't really say just on this alone. But yeah, there is I could see how there might be a wanting for that, to be known for something publicly. Does that actually happen? I don't know. Depends on the whole chart. But yeah, I can see where people are going. But I would not get hung up on the fame thing. I just notice people do this sometimes, and I wouldn't get hung up on this being a fame indicator solely on its own. Just, that's something I wanted to throw out there. So yeah, definitely, but there, what does need to be expressed? Ego, confidence, identity, vitality, life force, all of those things need to be expressed through the vehicle of the highest, most idealized version of oneself, for sure, and do need to play in. Probably something a little more public. Okay. Oh, and you'd also want to look at the house cusp that Leo is on in the chart, because that house, whatever house Leo is on the cusp of, that house will then bend to the sun conjunct the midheaven. So that'll give you a better idea of how to flesh this story out. You know. Okay. So let's say you've got the moon conjunct the midheaven. This one, kind of like how I mentioned with the ascendant, it feels like it might not be the most comfortable place for the moon. This kind of feels the same way to me. That's not always the case, though. I mean, some people are more than comfortable having their emotions kind of more public. Some people are comfortable with this. Not everybody is. I guess I think about myself, and that wouldn't be comfortable for me. So, but I've also had clients that have had this aspect going on, and it doesn't always seem to be real comfortable for them, either. So, it's not the most comfortable place for the moon to be, because it is public. There's a public quality to the midheaven. There is. So what is needing to be expressed through the vehicle of who you want to be, or what you want to be when you grow up, what you want it to be, what you want to be. And I say grow up like this because we're all always growing up, I think. Or, you know, the vehicle of the highest and most idealized version of yourself. Emotions are needing to be expressed. Feelings are needing to be expressed. Nurturing, caring is needing to be expressed. Things like that. I might think, just because the moon is changeable, but in like a moody way, that there might be like there could be, not universal, but there could be like a moodiness with how they feel about that version of themselves. How they feel about their role in the public, things like that. There could be a moodiness there. It doesn't have to go that way, but there could be. Any house that whatever house Cancer is on the cusp of in the chart, that house will then bend to the moon conjunct the MC or the midheaven. Definitely look at that, because that'll give you a better idea as to what's going on here. Oh, and I don't think I said this. When you're looking at conjunctions to the midheaven, I mean, I would probably, I use wider orbs for the ascendant and the descendant, conjunctions to the ascendant and the descendant. But for these, for like the midheaven and the IC, I don't even know if I said this in the IC video. Especially, I don't know. I would say start anywhere. I like to go a little. I like to go a little more. I'm a little more in. With these, so I would probably. I would say anywhere from 10 degrees to 5 degrees applying or separating is where I would start. That really depends on how you feel about it, but that's probably what I would do. I would probably come in more for the midheaven. I don't really know why, I just probably would. But that would also depend on everything else going on in the chart. I wouldn't go any wider than 10 though, 10 degrees applying or separating. And really that feels kind of wide for this, but that's my opinion. You might have a very different opinion about that, and that's fine. Okay, anyway. Mercury conjunct the midheaven. So what needs to be expressed? The mind, communication, thinking, sharing information, logic and reason, all of those kinds of things need to be expressed when you've got through the vehicle of the highest, most idealized version of yourself, or, you know, what you want to be when you grow up. All of these are needing to be expressed, or all of those things are needing to be expressed through that vehicle. So, you know, this one doesn't feel quite as uncomfortable to me as like the moon can, but I guess it just depends on how sure the person feels about their mind. The more sure they feel about their mind, and what their mind needs to express, I think the easier it is. I think any planet conjunct a major angle can be kind of vulnerable in a way, just because it is more seen. It really depends on everything else going on in the chart and how the person feels about that planet. If they, especially in the, let me backtrack, especially in the houses where, or especially along the major angles where things are seen, like the ascendant or the midheaven, things aren't as seen at the descendant or the IC publicly. Let me backtrack on that one. But yeah, the mind is going to be highlighted here. Highlighted, very, very highlighted. Okay, so then you have Venus. Let's say you've got Venus conjunct the midheaven. So what needs to be expressed? Love, values, artistry is another one, aesthetics, peace and harmony, all of those kinds of things, diplomacy and charm. You might be dealing with somebody who is like what they need to express through, they need to express charm. They want to express charm through the highest and most idealized version of themselves. Diplomacy is the same. Diplomacy, the same thing. They want to express this through the highest and most idealized version of themselves. All of those kinds of Venusian things are going to color that midheaven, for sure. What is needing to be expressed. Because I'm running out of time, just remember to look at the house cusps that Taurus and Libra are on. Mars conjunct the MC, or the midheaven. So Mars conjunct the MC, you're looking at somebody who probably has a lot of drive to becoming the highest and most idealized version of themselves. There's probably a lot of drive there. I would think there would have to be in some capacity. Action, impulse even. Of course, what sign this is going on in would color this, you know, how this happens. But yeah, definitely somebody who's probably pretty driven, pretty independent in going after what they want to go after. Or that's probably how Mars should function. You would want to look at the house cusps that Aries is on in the chart. That will bend to Mars conjunct the MC, and you could even look at Scorpio if you use traditional rulership, or yeah, traditional rulership. Okay, so yeah, I'm already over 15 minutes. Sorry, I got distracted because Instagram not only makes, if you're watching this on YouTube, this will still be going on. Anyway, I'm gonna do the next video next about Jupiter through Pluto and Chiron. But yeah, if you want to follow us on Instagram, you can find us at Let's Fuck With Astrology. I am at Saturn Season Astrology on Instagram. Natalie is at Apaterno Astrology on Instagram. If you are, if you want to like or subscribe or whatever people do with videos on YouTube, you can find us by going to, or by searching for Let's Fuck With Astrology in the YouTube search bar. If you do the right thing, come join us on the subreddit Let's Fuck With Astrology. And if you're interested in the star cards, go to letsfuckwithastrology.com/star-cards. Okay, y'all. I'll see y'all later.